Welcome to Lab Results. We are live. So happy to be here this evening. We are going to be discussing our topic that we had on this past Monday, which was stress, mental health, and trauma. But before we get started and before we bring on our guest, I want to bring on my co-host and my partner in crime who's been doing this virtual thing with me since we started, and that's my man, Joe Barker. Joe.
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, man, I'm a black man in America. You're going to have to stop calling me your partner in crime, man. I might have warrants, man. Like, I don't need that smoke. I don't want no issues, man. But no,
hey, man, we always getting accused of it anyway. So,
glad to be here. As always, that whole mental health conversation topic is just so powerful. And there were so many powerful things that were talked about Monday night. Glad to have our guest panelists with us here this evening to kind of continue to unpack some things. May even be dealing with some real life things, but powerful conversation on Monday, Marty. So appreciate what you did, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just so everybody, we can reiterate, this is Lab Results' idea was to keep our virtual presence going, because during the pandemic, we went away from being live every week to doing this virtually so that we kept our touches with the community and our topics moving. But we also found that there were people throughout the country that still checked in with the Black Man Lab, and this is a good way to continue to do it. Plus, we get to take a deeper dive with our guests that we have for the evening. So before we bring on our guests, one of the things that we do every week at the Black Man Lab and as well here at Lab Results is we make sure that we acknowledge the shoulders of those that we stand on, those that came before us. And we do our own version of a libation, which is just a call on an ancestor. So I'm just going to ask the brothers here, Joe and our guest, Keith, if y'all could just say out an ancestor, and then we'll just give them an ashe. So whoever is in your heart today that knows that they would be happy to see you here today. So on three, just call somebody out. 1, 2, 3. Sylvester Williams. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay. So we know that we can't do any of the work that we do without acknowledging those that came before us. And we want to make sure that we do that in every space that we're in, anytime that we're getting together as a group. So without further ado, I want to bring on our guest because he's actually in a situation where he's working and he's moving around and he's doing the work of the people. But he still wanted to make sure that he was here for Lab Results tonight to be able to talk on our subject at hand. So without further ado, my brother Keith Strickland.
So thank you so much for having me tonight. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for what y'all do, period. Like, y'all create a very valuable and just, essential space for Black males. So I just really appreciate the work y'all do.
We appreciate you, brother. We know that you have been in the space, both as a panelist on more than one occasion, and then also, as a member in the audience, and you served our kids very well. And I shouldn't say our kids, you served our men very well in that capacity. So real quick, Keith, what I would like is for you just to give a quick introduction of yourself and what you're doing right now in the communities, what the work that you do just in general, and then we'll take a deeper dive as well.
Okay. So again, my name is Keith Strickland. I'm the founder of an agency called Making the Transition. And real simply, what Making the Transition is we try to create justice for young adults who are born into minority communities, face inner city poverty, who've gone through disadvantages that just give them a harder opportunity in life and create the type of equity that they deserve in society, or to be able to live with the highest quality of life, which every person should have access to. So we do that by creating programs in courts, schools, prison institutions, county jails, in partnership with places like WIC, just people who have access to populations that are underserved and a lot of times have suffered against systematic oppression. So that would look like creating diversion programs to keep youth who are in high crime communities outside of the criminal justice system. And if they are in the criminal justice system, how do we help repair their behaviors and get the life skills they need to be able to remove themselves from that system? Working inside of schools to help give life skills, behavior modification, cognitive awareness, trauma therapy, just things to be able to help people develop wholly and healthily as a young adult so that they can be really powerful adults in our community. And like I said, we do that through tons of different partnerships. And I do that in communities all the way from New York to Alabama to Texas. We got programs in dozens of cities. So basically, I created an agency that provided the thing that was lacking that I lacked when I was a child, that helped me to become the person who I was as a young adult. Started selling crack cocaine at about 12 years old. I made millions of dollars selling drugs over the years and destroyed a lot of households, hurt a lot of people, and did a lot of things that I'd never be able to undo the damage of. And I just looked at what was missing along the course of my life that helped me grow into that man. And I created an agency that tries to bridge those gaps and provide those resources.
And you know, I know that you have a very, very interesting story, and especially for where you are today and the work that you're doing today. Give me a little bit more of that, where you were born, your home life, and the pre-Keith Strickland of today.
Okay. Can y'all hear me well? Because I have a little breaks and little gaps. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I'm originally from Chicago.
Wait. Hold on. Keith, hold on. How did I not know that?
Yeah, I missed it.
How did I not know that?
Really, Marty? Really, bro?
My family is 3 generations Cabrini Green.
So is that right?
Yeah. My mom was the first Black child to be integrated into a public school in Chicago with white children. So my family, like, my mom went through the Black
he froze up.
School program all the way up to college. So, you know, my roots run real deep in Chicago. My great-grandfather was killed. He was the union leader for minority workers for the city of Chicago.
Okay.
And he won legislation for minority workers to be paid equal pay to their white counterparts. And he was murdered the night that he won the vote. So,
wow.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. My roots are deep in Chicago.
Yeah, we gotta talk more about that, brother. That's interesting. My mom grew up right by Cabrini Green as well.
Yeah, my family generation went to Cabrini Green.
Okay.
So, you know, when you talk about Black folks' background, we got to think about what do we want to show when you're being recorded versus what you don't want to show, right?
True that.
We all got a background.
Sure.
But real short story, man. My mom met my dad on the night that my dad killed somebody. And he reminded her of Chicago. And I'm the product of 2 people who got together that probably should have never got together. So my dad was violent. My mom was somebody who tried to escape the projects. And that's how I came to Atlanta. My mom tried to escape my dad. My dad found out she was in Atlanta and he moved down here. You know, baby, I'm going to do right.
Breaking up a bit there, brother.
I could hope it come from the brokenness of the parents they never got to heal from. Like, you know, that's why it's so important that we push to get ourselves healthy, because you got a whole village of people up under you who are trying to be healthy, but their ceiling is going to be your floor. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get yourself straight so that they can get straight. So I was born into a violent household. I was born around criminality. I was born, and I don't want to make it seem like my parents weren't good people. They were good people. They were good people with their own brokenness, right? So, you know, at the age of 14 or 15, I was taken from my family by the state because I started selling drugs. I started going to jail back and forth. And when juvenile got a hold of me one time, they told my parents they had to sign some paperwork to get me out. And that paperwork was saying we're going to take accountability for his actions. My family was like, you know, you out here in the streets. We can't take accountability for your actions because, you know, you young, but you're a grown man because you're doing grown man things. So at that point, juvenile court was like, you can't sign the paperwork or we got to keep them. My family, they made that decision to let them keep me, but juvenile court accidentally released me, and my family moved out of state thinking that I was going to be in juvenile court possession. And when I got out of juvenile court, I came home without a family or a house. So I went deeper into the streets, so I was selling drugs more heavily, and I ended up buying my own house cash at 16. And I ended up buying my family's house, right? Like my family abandoned their house when they left, and I bought the house myself, right? Mm. And from there, I just stayed in the streets for about the next 10 years real heavy. I'm part Spanish, so I dealt with Colombians and Mexicans across the water and stuff, and across the border. So I did really well in the streets because of the connections and the relationships I had. I had a daughter who was born while I was incarcerated. My daughter also died while I was incarcerated after an act of violence. And that made me start looking at things differently. It did not open my eyes up completely, but it made me start looking at things differently because my daughter lost her life because I couldn't get mine right. So it made me look at, what do I really want to, as a man, what's important to you? You say you do all these things so your family don't have to be hungry again and your family don't have to go through what you went through. But how can you realistically say that when your family is suffering because of the things you're doing, right? So it really made me start looking at my life in a way of like, I wanted to be more and I wanted to be better, but I didn't know how to do those things. Started selling crack, so young, all I knew how to do really was hustle. I never had learned to read, never made it out to ninth grade. I made $1 million selling dimes, but I couldn't read, right? Wow. So I got to a point where I wanted to do better and be, just a different version of myself, but I had no pathway to get to that space. So fast forward, I'm having little inner conflicts because I don't like the person who I am, but the person who I am is the only way I survive. Now, at the same time, just to give a scope of this, I own a barbershop, a restaurant, a detail shop, about 3 houses, probably 15 cars. So the reason why I want to give that backstory is because a lot of times you see people and you think they got money, so they should know this and they should know that. Money don't make you more intelligent. Money don't give you more exposure automatically. Money does not change you. Money just gives you access to be able to change. But if you have no pathway to see the change, money's not going to just do it, right? So you got this person who has all these physical things and these material things, but I still don't have this. You know what I'm saying? My eyes still haven't seen outside the hood. I'm worth millions, and I don't know it because all I know is the projects in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So I got caught selling it. I was selling somebody 5,000 grams, and the police were sent by somebody to come and rob me. And in the course of that robbery, the police were very violent to me. They beat us up. They hurt us really bad. And another police officer saw them beating us up, and that police officer arrested us to get us away from the other police. They didn't know what was going on. But in the course of all of it, I had 5,000 grams on me, 3 guns, and large sum of money. So when I went to jail, that was a really bad arrest because I already had a background. Can y'all still hear me? Are we still good?
Yeah, you good, brother.
Okay. So when I went to jail for that one, I faced automatic life because that was my 3rd gun conviction. That was my 3rd drug conviction. In the state of Georgia, we're a 3-strike state, but it's separated a little differently. It's 3 strikes inside the same classifications, right? So I had 2 3 strikes in different categories. So basically, I'm facing, like I said, automatic life. I ended up crimes because somebody was in the car with me, and I didn't want them to be a part of the case, so I just took my charge. But in the case, when you take a charge like that, they fight to get down to something because you can't say I did it, but I still want to fight it, right?
Right.
So that was pretty much it for me. But I was okay with going to jail for the rest of my life. In certain ways, I was okay with it because, like I said, I already started having this inner conflict. Like I wasn't happy with the person who I had become, and I didn't know how to change. So I felt like if God needed to take me away to change me, that needed to be. And I'm gonna take my glasses off of this because I want whoever's listening to be able to look in my eyes and really feel me on this one, right? When I made peace with God about the things I did in the world, God gave me an inside forgiveness, and then God let the world give me forgiveness. So clearly I'm not doing life in jail. So clearly that didn't go the way that it was supposed to. I ended up getting an early release and I got my freedom back, and that's why I ended up starting my company. When I came back to society, this, what I do right now, was my gift to God for giving me another life. The life God gave me, I threw it away. The life God gave me back, I gave it away, right? So I threw my life away as a young person. But then once it finally made sense to me, it made a footprint in the community, right? Every office I have is a place where we used to sell drugs out of. So since I traffic drugs across the country, I opened up offices across the country. But it all started with me allowing God to forgive me, me allowing myself to forgive me, and then me allowing the world to forgive me.
Man, that's one, it's powerful, but that's also an interesting point to circle back to Monday and our conversations Monday around mental health, stress and trauma. And a lot of what you just described as your life touched on all those things, right? You dealt with some trauma, obviously dealing with incarceration is stressful. The trauma.
And I dealt with the death of a child, my own.
Yeah, that's the
so
trauma.
When you talk about trauma, it don't really get deeper than that.
Not at all.
Your only child.
Right.
And I've been kidnapped 5 times. I've been left for dead myself. I've been tortured for several hours. Or somebody kidnapped me, tried to kill me, and left me tied up for dead after torturing me for 7 hours. So I'm saying that to say I've had my closest friends, a dozen of them behind my arms, where literally we took that last breath together. I just got up and they didn't. So yeah, you do go through your traumas in the streets. Yeah. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just for the people watching this, I want to let them know what you go through does not define you. How you come out of it is what does define you, not what you go through.
Right. And that was, you actually were making my point for me, is that, I have a good idea of your story because we've heard it. But as it relates to our topic, you've touched on all 3 of those things, ultimately to get to dealing with your mental health, which is where you are today, and being open and honest and being able to speak to and be honest about your background and where you are today, which is part of, that mental therapy that we go through. So let's talk a little bit about that. We talked about on Monday, there were a lot of questions around mental health and dealing with the pressures of life and stuff like that. Let's talk about that a little bit from your perspective of what you thought were some pivotal things that were said, or what you may see as some pivotal things in that realm.
First, before I even get into that, I want to say this because I want to let it be known why I am transparent. That's, I believe that our life is not our own, and we don't have the right to keep things inside, right? Because somebody else may be able to grow through what you've been through. But I have a young lady who's in the car with me right now, who I'm taking to a safe place, shelter, because she's going through her own things right now. We had to find a safe haven for her so that she can get away from those things while we work on rebuilding her life. So one of the reasons why I'm being so transparent right now is because she's sitting next to me in this car and she needs to hear these things. She needs to know that even though this is going to be a tough situation right now, this tough situation is just getting a tough person who's going to go out here and build an empire, conquer the world, and do all of these things, right? So I'm sharing that so that she can hear it. But again, for people watching, our youth need us. You know what I'm saying? This is a minor. Like, if I didn't get my life together, how in the world could I help her get hers together? Right? They need us. Right. They're the only people who are living a situation that they did not create. Adults, we create our reality. Children are born into the reality that the adults around them created for them. And if that reality is one that is not good, then they're being punished, not of their own actions. And the only way we break that cycle is if somebody who created a better reality comes in and intervenes, right? So I just need to say that because we're talking to men and children, community, or women. They need men. They need kings. They need men who are strong enough to not only lift themselves up, but to build strong enough shoulders to hold them up, right? They need us. Like, they really need us. So when we talk about mental health, when we talk about these different things, let that be your motivation. I had a young man who talked about self-harm after what we talked about Monday. You get what I'm saying? He talked about hurting himself after we talked Monday. You don't know who might need you. It might be the person smiling and laughing in the room right next to you that needs you, right?
Yep.
So I'm sorry about that, Marty. You can re-ask your question, but I just needed to get that out.
No problem, brother. No problem. And that's, what do we call the Black Man Lab, right? A safe and sacred place, right? Where we're able to share and be transparent, and we appreciate you being transparent with the, young lady in the car right now. Tell her, make sure you let her know that the Black Man Lab is praying for her, and we know that she's going to be the queen that she can be. So we want to be real clear about that. Joe, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. One thing I want to ask you, Keith, man, you're in a lot of different spaces, and one of the things that we as a group, some of us help out with Gary Davis and the Next Level Boys Academy on Saturday mornings. A lot of at-risk young men. You said something when you were telling your story, and I hear this so often Saturdays when they talk, and I want you to unpack that a little bit, because some of those young brothers that might hear you. What you said is, when you got arrested, you said you were ready to spend the rest of your life in jail. And that's what these young brothers are saying. And I want to hear from you, what is it that caused that mentality? And what is it that was able to shift you out of that mentality?
That's not a simple question to answer, right? A lot of people will say that that's from being institutionalized, but that's not being institutionalized. Like, a lot of us are born in the hell, and unless you're born into a hell, it's kind of hard to understand what that means, right? But when you're born into, reality, is a lot of people hustle who don't want to hustle. Like, I never liked drugs. I never used drugs. I don't smoke. I really drink. I never in my life liked drugs, right? I never liked what they did to other people. It was just either I would be homeless or I would sell this drug, right? So when you're born into a situation that's tough, you just got to find your way through it. You already on a losing side. You get what I'm trying to say? So you don't lose more. It's just a different type of loss. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of our community members look at our youth, they see bad youth, troubled youth, this and that. What they don't see is that youth has been through bad things, that youth has had a lot of trouble dropped on them. So if every single day of your life, you got to worry about how you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep at, you got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, your everyday reality is so hard. Mm-hmm. Why does it really matter if you get killed or if you go to prison? You know what I'm saying? Like, every single day, I've been shot at hundreds of times. I've been in countless shootouts, like countless, right? It ain't that serious, because it's like, I'm going to do this to live. Like, everybody got to die from something. I just swam in the ocean at the coastal part of Georgia by the Geechee Islands, where the descendants of the slaves still own the islands. I swam in the ocean. I caught a shark there about 3 months ago, so I know for a fact there's sharks in the water because I caught one. I swam in the ocean there on Saturday night and Sunday night from like midnight till 4 in the morning. Now, these are undeveloped islands, so it's no lights, it's no nothing. You can't even see where the water starts. You just feel it when you walk out. Yeah, I could have been ate by a shark, right? Yeah, that's dangerous because you can't even see the current. But the point is, I'm going to die from something. I needed to connect to my ancestors, and I needed to be in the water that the slaves were thrown over in or even jumped into. Because, like, from the places that I'm trying to go in my life, the kind of service I'm trying to go to, I need my ancestor spirit to be with me, right? Right. So it's like, somebody could look at it like, man, that was stupid. Why would you go into that water? Either I'm going to die trying to do this work, or I'm going to die trying to connect to my people, or I'm going to die from something one day. So I don't fear death. I just fear not living. I fear my life not having a purpose. I fear staying poor my whole life. I fear staying stuck in poverty my whole life. I fear not being able to take care of my family. I fear not, you know what I'm saying, not being able to be that bridge for somebody. Because even if I went to prison for the rest of my life, I left money here. So that means that my family wouldn't have to pick up a crack rock. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to say. It's not like an institutionalized mentality. It's just a survival's mentality. Like, I may not be able to do it for me, but I'm going to do it for somebody. And if I got to risk my own life every single day so somebody else doesn't have to, I'm going to do that.
I get it.
So I guess the short answer will be a desperation, because there's not enough bridges. There's not enough people out there giving resources and assistance and showing a different path. So people take the path that's in front of them, and a lot of times that path is dark and scary and dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I hear you saying, brother, is you were ready to sit down for that period of time, because for you it was like, what are my options out here? Look at this life I'm leading. Look at, look at where it's leading me to anyway. So I definitely get that. And I hear that desperate voice in them so often on Saturdays when we talk. So I hear that. So where did that shift come from where you said, you know what? Yeah, I'm not afraid to die. However, my life is going to be dedicated to pouring into other people. Where did that shift come?
I'm pausing because I'm trying to get the best, most, the realest answer I can give. First and foremost, that shift never exactly came, right?
Okay.
What happened was I traded somebody my lunch and my dinner for about 2 weeks while I was incarcerated. They gave me a book and they sat down with me and they taught me how to read. When I learned how to read, I learned how to be trained. I learned how to be educated. I learned how to, see what my eyes can show me. Like, in other words, you can write down something that you learned, that you experienced, and then I can pick up a book, read about it, and I can grow through you, right? Once I learned that, it opened up tons of doors in my life because then I could start seeing how to be more than a drug dealer. Like, nobody in my physical life or world or that I had access to was able to show me how to be more than a drug dealer. The biggest, when I said I was ready to sit down, you want to get out and show them? The biggest, hold on one second.
Go ahead, brother.
Hey, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. You dropped your wallet. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. But,
no, you good, brother.
And with everything she got going on, the young lady who was in the car, she's the one who saw that he dropped his wallet. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by a lot of times, like, you are remarkable people. They just don't have remarkable people who are building for them so that they can't be the people they're meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, she literally could have got out. This young lady is going through all of these things. She could have got out and grabbed that wallet. She stopped me and stopped what we got going on to make sure he didn't pop without it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of adults who got six-figure jobs that would have grabbed that wallet. Right. But we look at troubled youth and we usually feel like, oh, that child bad. That child needs this. We come with this militant mindset. When really it's not in that situation at all. But my bad, answering your question, like I said, I learned how to read. When I learned how to read, it gave me exposure to the world that was around me, right? When the judge tried to give me my early release, at first I didn't want early release because I was like, I don't want to come back and hurt anybody else. All I knew how to do was sell drugs. I told the judge, like, I sold every drug I sold. You know what I'm saying? Like, my situation, when nobody did anything to me, I earned my time. You get what I'm saying? When I sold drugs, I was great at it. When I got locked up, I was one part about being a man is you got to take accountability for your actions, right? And I didn't want to hurt anybody else. I didn't know how to survive in this world without doing what I was doing. And if I can't stop myself, then somebody got to stop me. So the way I looked at it was God was just putting a stop to the stuff I was doing. But when I came back,
okay,
I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when I came back, you got to come back better. You just got to.
Right. Appreciate that, man. That's going to be powerful to a lot of young brothers that might hear this, and we record this, so they'll have the opportunity to watch it. I have my mentees personally that I'll be able to be in space and give them an opportunity to hear your words too, man. So I appreciate that, brother.
Thank you. And another part to it too. Every day I wake up and my ultimate goal is to make my daughter proud. I know my daughter's watching me from heaven, like how we talk about the ancestors, right? I feel like you gotta have a motivation that's greater than you. You gotta have something outside of you. Because if not, then you can make real bad decisions very easily. But when you got a motivation for something that, mean more to you than you need to yourself, it really checks you. It gives you a balance. So like, how can I really say that I apologize for what I did to my daughter and still be doing the same actions that led to what happened to my daughter? I can't do that.
Yeah.
So like,
man, it's powerful stuff, Keith and Joe. We again have had the advantage of being in a room with brothers like yourself, Keith, and hearing these stories of people's lives that get them to where they are today. That the big piece of it is the commonality that can be there for a lot of our youth, right? Joe just alluded to it before. And so that they can see that there's more possibility in this life other than that you know, that little narrow corridor that they've been put in, whether that's dealing drugs, you know, anything on the negative side of life, right? And that's why we do this work. That's why we do the Black Man Lab. That's why we know it's important that these words are out there in the universe. So we want to make sure that we continue to push forward with all of that. Was there any moment on Monday, Keith, that stuck out to you?
Really, man, like I said, y'all do a phenomenal service with Black Man's Lab. So every moment stick out. Like every moment is fantastic. Every moment is healing to your spirit. Like the same, swimming in that ocean, it hit me different, man. But that's how Black Man do. Black Man's Lab does. It hit you. It hit you, you know. But
it's really hard to explain, isn't it? That when I try to tell people, I tell other brothers to get in that space. It's so hard to explain the energy and what that room is about. You know, I had a brother that came in from out of town that was there the week before, and we were just trying to connect. I said, man, just come to the Black Man Lab. And he's like, well, what is it? You know, I said, just come. Because me trying to explain it is not going to do it justice. Just come. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in the control. I think one thing, though, that I can say about it, it's a place where a Black man can come and actually let his guard down and really legitimately be able to be embraced and be able to be weak and still be strong, right?
Yeah.
Like for us, you know, a lot of times we got to be so strong because everything going on around us and because of the society and because of, you know, just our place in it. But when you're in the Black Man's Lab, it's okay to let the environment be your strength and you don't have to be it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good
and
one.
Also, you're gonna walk out more knowledgeable and more lifted in some kind of way every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if I was to say that something stuck out to me, when we're talking about mental health, we're talking about mental healthiness, right? First and foremost, a lot of times in our community, we have a misunderstanding about what mental health is. For mental health, you have, because backstory too is when I got out, I opened up a reentry center for the Department of Corrections for the state of Georgia. And when I did that, that was like I said, I've been coming in and out of jail from 12 to mid-20s. So I knew about reentry really well because I've been doing it all my life. But that was a really successful program and showed me that like you really can make an impact in your own community and in your own people's life. And I went back and got a degree in psychology, and then I got a license for therapy. And, you know, I studied continually because I had never finished high school, so I didn't have a solid educational background. So I studied so much because it's just so much to learn, and I want to be the best at what I do, and the only way you can be better is by learning more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so I want to drop a little piece of education right now, just when it comes to mental health. You have mental health diagnosis, prognosis, you have mental health situations and mental health conditions. But when you have a mental health situation or mental health condition or diagnosis, that's saying that you're a threat to yourself or others, or that's saying that you need assistance to be able to be in control of your mental health. But you also have behavioral health. Behavioral health could be the way that you act. It could be the way that you adjust to things. It could be the way you deal with emotions. But that doesn't mean you have a mental health issue. That just means that you need behavioral health conditioning, support, tools, you know, all these different things. It's okay to be able to say that I'm not in control of certain things in my behavior. It's okay to say that I need assistance. It's okay to say I need to go and get support from somebody else or from some other people. That does not make you weak. That does not make you broken. It makes you a person who doesn't want to be those things because you want to heal yourself so that you can be healthy for the people around you. And a lot of times for Black men, it's really challenging for us to do that. Because again, we're supposed to put on this persona that we hard, we strong, we this and we that. But we all need help. We all need a village behind us, and we all need somebody who we can just talk to that lifts us too, right? So it was really nice to see how many of my brothers and fellow kings embrace that, and they actually started valuing that, and they wanted to learn more about it. That stood out to be, and then again, that's because you created a space where Black men can be vulnerable and can open up. Yeah. There wasn't a man in there who didn't have some kind of thought, question, or comment related to mental health. But I like to look at it as mental healthiness, not just mental health. You know what I'm saying? We can work out our minds. We even take financial literacy classes. What good is money and, you working on your body, I mean? What good is having a good body and having money in your pocket if you're not healthy enough to be able to enjoy the life you have, right?
Right.
Amen.
Right. And I like that term too, mental healthiness, right? We work on our mental health just like we do, our physical health. We say fitness, mental healthiness. So good stuff. Joe, was there anything that you thought from Monday was?
I'll say this, man, and it's funny because there was so many powerful things said Monday, but I will say this. I forget the brother's name because they all are so powerful, but brother said something and I literally wrote it down. My wife is in Miami this week. She and my daughter celebrating the birthday, and they're just taking some mental health days, just she's not working. She's kind of got away for a little bit and so forth. And she texted me yesterday and she was like, oh, they want to go do this and I don't want to go do that. I just want to relax, da, da, da. And I said, hey, I heard something Monday night and I just want to tell you what I heard. 2 letters. I'm going to say exactly like he said too. 2 letters, 1 word with a period behind it. No explanation needed.
Right.
No. I love that, man. So often we want to explain things away like, well, I can't right now because, well, I would, but the reality is exactly like you all said, Keith, on the panel, you all said, when people are asking you for those things, they're prioritizing themselves first. That's what they want. Hey, I want you to do this with me. I want you to go to the club with me. I want you to hang out with me. That's what they want. And so hearing you all put that in perspective with respect to, yeah, that's what they want. So that's their priorities. You have the right to say no and prioritize yourself first. And a lot of times we just look at the word no and we don't realize that that's us prioritizing ourselves first. And I just really, that to me stuck out a lot on Monday just because of some of the things that, my family's navigating through and some of the kids and my students and so forth. Man, just the ability to say no and be okay with it.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Can I?
Go ahead, Keith.
So I actually have some challenging thoughts to that, right? Now, first and foremost, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. You have to be healthy. You have to be whole. You have to do what you need to do for you. I give away about 70% of my income, right? And I own and have more than the average American by far, right? Like I own multiple properties, multiple cars, everything I got paid off. And I'm in a position that I never thought I could ever be at in my life without drugs. Like I made millions selling drugs and I lived a certain way. And then, going back into the world as a regular citizen, that was a huge adjustment. I have more now than I did when I sold drugs. And I give away 70% of my income. The way I look at life is I look at life as a ring of circles, right? And on the inner ring of circle, like the smallest circle, I feel like you're inside of your smallest circle. I feel like God or whoever your faith-based system is the outside of your circle, priority. And then the people who God gave to you or assigned to you, your next priority. Then the community or the clan that God gave to you, next priority. Then the society that you live in, next priority. And then the people who you really dislike, next priority. And inside that last circle, you. Once you take care of all of them, then you take care of you. And like I said, I gave away the life that I had. God gave it back to me. I gave it back to the people who needed it more than me, right? I'm the smallest priority in my life, and I have an amazing and fantastic life because I have so much good that comes back to me. I give it all away. I tell people all the time, you can't take advantage of somebody that's giving you their advantage, right? So whatever God gives to me, I give it away to people. So you can't take advantage of me because I'm here with open arms to give it to you. What you do with it, once you get it, is on you. The only way you can take advantage of me is by wasting something that I gave to you. That's it. But you can't ever take advantage of me. My time belongs to God. My resources belong to God. My life belongs to God. Who am I to say no about what ain't mine? Now, at the end of the day, I belong to God too. So I have to remain healthy. And whenever something comes into my healthiness, that's when it becomes a no. Mm-hmm. But I do stuff all the time that I don't feel like doing. I do stuff all the time for people I don't like. Because for me, it goes through the rings, right?
Right.
And now another thing, since God is the biggest ring, anytime somebody asks me to do something that disrespects one of the other rings, it's automatically a no, because I shouldn't have to disrespect my priority to give to you. But that's how I judge my no.
No, I
Yeah,
love what you said there, and
Yeah.
I think one of the last statements you made really hit the nail on the head. You said, unless it affects my health, and that's what we're talking about here.
Right.
All we're talking about, yeah. I mean, yes, all day, but I got to make sure I'm mentally and, like you said, that mental healthiness in a space where that yes isn't negatively impacting me. And so that's when our spouses, our kids, our students, they need to understand, no, it's okay. If no is putting you in a space where you're not healthy and you're not okay, it's okay. Yeah, if you can give. If you can help them, of course, that's what we're called to do. We're called living community. So I appreciate you giving it that context, because you're right. I'm not giving everybody carte blanche to go around and say no. I'm saying
that's the only part I think is important.
Yeah.
Because, and I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
We got to make sure for the younger people who are coming behind us that we don't make them into a accidentally selfish person, or accidentally self-centered person, or a person that doesn't understand. We come from a we-based culture. Africans come from a we-based culture, not an I-centric culture. So the land that we live in is a backward culture society than the land we come from. We don't survive and thrive in I-centric. We survive in we.
Right.
The only way this works is we're good.
Right. And then that's, I think at the end of the day, you know, when you look at, we'll just speak about our universe where we work in, right? Doing with this Black Man Lab, the work you do, Keith. You know, we obviously are doing this work because we're giving, right? We're trying to, we're in a rush to give. I was having this conversation with Mauli one day about, you know, us being in a rush to give as much as we can while we can, you know, but then we're also have to be responsible to ourselves in that when a lot of times we do this type of work, or whether it's this kind of work or for our family or for whoever, when we push, and then we break down and we're no good for the rest of our community, right? We're no good for everybody else. And that's where that no piece comes in, because you have to be cognizant of where your health is at. So that's a great point though, Joe, that you brought up. One of the things that I loved from Monday was the brother, I think his name is Keith Brown, when he spoke to our young man, who's an entrepreneur, who's been in Black Man Lab for, you know, since its inception. And we've watched him grow, and he's now a young entrepreneur, and he had questions and doubts. And the way that, you know, not just him, Brother Brown, you know, rallied around him, but everybody rallied around him to make him feel good about the work that he was doing, make him feel strong. And that just kind of gave me a different kind of energy, because it lets you know that we as a community are super strong whenever we come together, you know, and that's what this work is really about. We are already pushing up on 7:30 here. Crazy how time flies on here.
What a powerful story. We knew it would with Keith, because there's so much he has to offer, man. So glad he could be here.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to say the same thing about y'all though. Like I really appreciate y'all, Kings. Like I really want to let that be known. Like a lot of times we don't give each other applause and the pats on the back that we need and that we deserve. But I just want to say, you know, I'm a person who not only has, like you said, contributed, but I've been healed, I smiled, I cried, I built brotherhoods out of Black Man Lab. Black Man Lab has empowered me, lifted me, and allowed me to do the same for my brother. So thank you.
Man, appreciate that, brother. And you know, sometimes you just know you're doing the right work. You know what I mean? And the Black Man Lab is that. We've seen too many people share too much coming through there. We've seen too many people, you know, give everything they have emotionally in that room. And it just speaks to the need of a space like that. But also, more importantly, I think, the need for our young brothers to be able to see real men. That's the reality of it. We put on faces so often of what a real black man looks like. And I think a lot of times that's due to what, the other people tell us we are or we're supposed to be, right? And that's not who we are as a community, as a people of African descent. So look, before we close out here, I want to do what we always do, which is talk about habits, rituals, and disciplines. And
can I say one thing before we close out? I'm sorry, just one thing.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at a gas station right now, and there's a young lady who is practically naked with color on, right? Like clothes so tight, clothes so like short, right? She's with a guy who looks to be her boyfriend. As men, can we start praying over and protecting our women instead of being the people that's praying on them? Can we start setting a different expectation of what we consider beauty so that they can have a different expectation of what they want to be seen beautiful, for us to be able to see the beauty in them? Like, it starts with what we respect out of them, appreciate out of them, and draw out of them.
Yeah.
But when we talk about healthiness, man, it's impossible for us to reach that and have that without giving it to people who we were assigned to look over. Right?
Brother Keith, I think
that's a different subject.
No. It's on, that's on us. That's on brothers like us and that can influence the younger brothers. At the end of the day, they're only going to do what they see. They're watching videos or what's happening out in the street. That's what's going to, influence their decisions that they make. But we have to give them a different look. And that's what we're working on, man, giving that different look. And, we could say on here all day long, brothers stop doing blah, blah, blah. But it has to be in the actions. It has to be in those that come behind us, those young folks, man, that are coming up. I venture to say that the brothers, and I keep using Black Men Lab as an example, but there's other organizations out there that are, doing similar work to Black Men Lab. Those brothers, though, those young brothers that are in those rooms, they're not going to do that, because they see what, real manhood looks like. Not only that, but like with us with the Black Man Lab, now we've started, the Sisters of Black Man Lab. In the other room, we got women that want to, bring their sons into the space, and they want to convene as well. So it gives a different look of how we respect those women. And it's going to force them into that mindset. We all grew up a certain way, right? Where, I know that my mom would be, I hold doors for women, and not every woman wants to have a door held for them. But I always say, when I hold a door and a woman says thank you to me, or no, you didn't have to do that, I say, well, my mom would be very, disappointed in me if I didn't. My father would be disappointed in me if I did, So that's just what we got to work for, man. And we're going to continue to do that work. We're going to continue to do it. And I think that ultimately our young brothers and young sisters by proxy will see a different future. And I feel, as we talk about God's work, I think that that's what God's work is, because better we are, the better the world is, So anyway.
Mark, it's my last thing.
Okay.
This is something that a lot of people can't tell our young men, but I really want to be honest about this. And I was just as addicted to selling drugs to the people who use my drugs. I lost just as much as the people who use drugs lose from the drug addiction. Like, I lost my family. I lost them. I can never get back. I've watched people who I love die in my arms. I've been incarcerated and had to fall asleep to the sound of hearing another man get raped in the room right behind me, right? I've been treated like worse than what I would treat my own dog inside the correctional facilities. I've been sprayed down with weed killer and then made to stand in the cold while I'm shivering because I'm sprayed down with weed killer. They say, oh, that's how we got to get the germs up off of y'all, right? And I've been fed frozen hot dogs. I ate bread and water for 30 some odd days. I did over 16 months of solitary confinement. It's a lot of stuff that these songs ain't telling you about reality of what it's like on the other side of the wall. It's things that you ain't never gonna get back once you lose it. Never. There ain't no amount of money worth losing in nothing. No amount of money. When my daughter died, and I asked, can I go to my daughter's funeral? The judge told me they don't need enough to get denied me from going to the funeral. When my mom had open heart surgery, I asked, can I go be with my mom? They said, nigga, can you cut? Can you do anything? You gonna stitch her up? Are you a doctor? What you need to be there for? But I put myself in a position for them to be able to talk to me like about the decisions I made before these things happen. But every wrong decision you make, you can erase multiple good decisions you can make later. Are you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you just don't know what it's like until you sign that paperwork and sign yourself over to being somebody's slave. So I just want to say, you can see the music, you can see the social media, you can see all the reality that folks think that you think is a reality they pitch you. It ain't reality. I fell asleep listening to somebody be raped behind me. You can't do nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? Just be happy it ain't you. I don't care how strong you are, how hard you are, how good you are with them hands. 35 men rush you. Your hands ain't going to protect you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just want y'all to know when you choose. One thing I'm really big on is everybody got the right to make their own choice. If you hear me and you like, you know what, I still want to scam, I still want to sell pills, I still want to do whatever, I'm still in car, I'm going to get it how I live, you got it how you live. Do you. Just know the reality of what doing you can do for you or do to you. And whatever you do after that is your decision, but I owe it to you to at least be 100 with you. That was my last thing. I'm done.
And we appreciate that, brother. We appreciate the honesty. And as you say, being 100. Because there's a lot of misconceptions about that life, right? There's a lot of misconceptions, and you know, at the end of the day, there's nothing more valuable than time. And to spend a day in jail, spend, you know, a week in jail is too much.
It ain't just your time no more. It's so much that's robbed from you, that's taken from you.
Yeah, well,
You that like,
yeah, oh yeah, I'm saying, but that time is where all that stuff happens, right? The time is where all of the things that you can do happens, right? Or that you can lose happens. Time with your family. Yeah.
That you can't describe what it's like on the other side of the wall. And this on the other side of the wall. Like like how you said, you can't describe what the energy is like inside the Black Man's Lab. You just gotta experience it.
Yeah.
You can't. This world, this society we live in, it's so far of a comparison to where it's really not even adjectives or words that you can use to describe what it's like on the other side. Like you can't do it.
Yeah, completely understand, brother. And don't want to know. How about that? Well, look, man, we've you know, we'll take that through the end here, man. You know, again, we always ask habits, rituals, and disciplines. So real quick, can you run through yours, what you do on a daily basis besides swimming with sharks? What do you do on a regular basis to you know, keep you moving on a day-to-day basis, partner?
I don't care if I work 20 hours a day. I'm take 30 minutes to do something that put a smile on my face. All right, like I do midnight bike rides, might be 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and I go for a bike ride. Right, and folks be looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm gonna make time to make Keith happy every day. I don't care if it's small, I don't care if it's big. Another thing I do is I call every man and woman, black man and woman I'm to king and queen. Because when I acknowledge them as a king or queen, I see the king and queen and me or the people that's with me and all of this, man, right? So it's like I give what I want to get. And the last thing I say I do, I start every day off with a prayer, which is just a conversation with whatever you believe in. I end every day by saying something that I'm grateful for that happened today, right? Because no matter how bad the day was, if you got 30 things that went bad in the day, that's horrible, right? Mm-hmm. But for you to make it to the end of the day, 100,000 things had to go right. From that tree not falling on you, for that car not hitting you, your lawn not giving out for you. You know what I'm saying? We can see the 30 things. If you got 30 bad things that happen, that really was a bad thing. But look at how blessed you still were. 30 to 100,000, right?
Absolutely.
So I just made sure I open my mouth and thank myself and thank God. And thank myself because I made it through the day. I ain't give up. I ain't tap out. And thank God for carrying me through it.
That's great stuff, brother. That's awesome, man. So look, we are up against the clock. We have done our time.
So you finna close out without giving your risk career? You gonna let me share mine, and y'all ain't gonna drop no jewels?
Well, we do,
like
but I'll let Joe go. Joe, go ahead. What are yours? I mean, we do it every week, so.
Right. But no, I appreciate that, brother. Mine is meditation in the morning, centering myself. Just making sure I'm thanking the universe for everything that it's offered me and providing my steps. I get on them knees every night, thanking my God and my Lord and my Savior for all that he's provided for me and asking his direction for continued guidance. And then I work out every day, whether I'm walking 6 or 7 miles or going to the gym with my son to work out. I always got to keep my body in the right shape as well. So
there you go. And I could have recited Joe's because I know. But I wake up every morning and I have to be grateful every morning when I wake up. I spend some time with the Creator, just being grateful for another day, especially, in this past year and a half or 2 years now. It's really been on my heart to make sure that I'm doing that every day, first thing in the morning, and then spend some time in meditation, just kind of clearing my mind out to prepare for the day. And then I do my morning workout. Well, I do a prayer call, and then I do my morning workout, which is at hot yoga. I do hot yoga in the morning, and then a new thing that I try to do is make lists on a day. I used to be really good about it, but I started getting back into it. I got my lady bought me this it's called a passion planner. So I've been real good about putting information in it. I just keep writing in it all the time. And then the probably the last thing that I do every night, I make sure that I'm reaching out to my family, touch my kids, my parents, and my brother. I'll usually just text him, but I usually make sure I reach out to them just with a hey, I love you, whatever. And of course with my lady as well. So those are the things that I do every day, with consistency. Sometimes I don't get to hot yoga if something gets in the way, but for the most part, that's what I'm doing every day.
And Mark, I forgot something I started doing that really helps me, right? I write out a to-do list, right? So that way every day I want to accomplish at least one thing. I don't really care what happened over the day. One thing, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't the big thing. I started a got done list, right? And I jot down the things that I got done so that when I do have a tough day, I can look back over the week and remember all the stuff I got done. You need to be able to be proud of yourself too. Know that you did that, right? And I started cheating. What I do now is I put the to-do list in my calendar so that way it automatically moves over to the got done list. So when I go back and I look at my calendar, I can look Monday, I did 14 things, right? So if I do something like this call with y'all, I didn't put it on the calendar. I'm going to go back and put it on the calendar because this got done. So when I have a tough day, I need to remember I did that.
You got stuff done. I like that.
Because when you remember that, it gives you that little, we all being 100, you got days where it's a challenge just to get dressed. You ain't feeling it.
Sure.
When you remember how impactful your last week was, it give you motivation. Today, man, I don't know, almost had tears in my eyes all day trying to get this young lady the resources she needs. Because she deserves so much more. Like, she out here trying. She works. She busted. I met her by providing the resources to her because I was at a restaurant and the manager had an issue and couldn't resolve the issue. She came over, asked the manager, do you mind if I step in? She found the resolution, right? So I was like, who are you? She told me. I was like, where you go to school at? She told me. She was like, said, you got everything you need? She was like, no, I don't. I said, what you need? She said, I need a computer. I said, you know what? I just got me one. Hold on right quick. I went to the car. I gave her my computer, right? And then I was like, what else you need? She looked at me and she was like, you going to give me this? I said, yeah, I am. Because you know what? I think you're going to put it to better use than me. So I gave her my computer, right? And then she told me, right now I got a living situation. We got into a conversation, and then her situation deteriorated over the past days after this all happened. But because I gave her something to show an investment, she trusted me to be able to help her be safe. You get what I'm saying? But today done been a tough day, man, because our kids go through so much, man, so much. And some days it's just hard to watch where they had to go. I'm holding in tears right now. But when I go back and I look at that got done list, it reminds me that, you know what, I've made some impact. So don't feel defeated. Don't feel overwhelmed. Don't feel like it's so big. Because I've housed over 175 children in the last 6 months that were homeless, that I put in houses, right? And I need to remember that I did that for the 176 when they came up.
Yeah. That's great stuff, brother. And I can't thank you enough for your passion and the work that you're doing, because we need it. We all gotta dig in, right? If we're gonna change the paradigm of what this world looks like. Because we always talk about here in the United States, and we always talk about, you know, whether it's the US, whether it's in Atlanta or Chicago, wherever, really the better we are as Black people as a whole, the better the world is. You know, it goes back to what you were talking about earlier, as we talk about us being a community of us, right? A community of giving and a community of taking care of the we rather than just the one. That's what the world needs, right? Because what happens is the reason the world's in the condition that it is in is just strictly selfishness, you know, and following some ideologies that are not our own, right? So look,
I made $1 million some time, right? Because I sold drugs 18 hours a day, 10 years straight, right? So if I can make that level of commitment to serving the devil, then I'm gonna work 20 hours straight, longer, to serve God. You get what I'm saying? That's my philosophy. When I went the wrong way, I went super hard. Yeah,
and on that, we're gonna leave it at that, brother. That's a great way to leave this conversation tonight, man. Brothers, again, thank you for tonight. Brother Mark, our big producer, Mark Lawson, thank you for the work you do, brother.
Always.
And keeping us moving, man. And again, Keith, you know, always, brother, you're welcome in the space. You are part of the Black Man Lab, man. So we love seeing you in there. And as always, come, bring people with you, and spread the word, brother. So,
appreciate you, Keith.
All right. Thank you all. Man. All right. Appreciate y'all. And we love y'all out there. Thank you.